Shri Sai Ram, Jnana Vahini by Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba, Chapter 10. A true Jnani must investigate into the reality. The Jnana or the higher knowledge derived from the mere hearing of Vedanta cannot be termed Aproksha Jnanam or the immediate knowledge, one which cannot be acquired through any kind of medium like senses, but is only to be experienced. Since the Abhyasa Varanam or the obscuring or making the absolute reality with multiple appearances persists and hides the absolute knowledge of the self, how can it be termed as Aproksha Jnanam? No, it cannot be. It is Paroksha Jnanam or indirect knowledge acquired through sensory perception only. Of course, by hearing about the Swarupa or the true form of the Brahman as Sat, Chit and Ananda, one may be able to grasp it, but one has to actually see or experience the Brahman, the witness of the five vestures, the Annamaya or the gross body or modification of food, the Pranamaya or the modification of vital air and five powers of physical action, the Manomaya or the modification of five senses and mind together, and the Vijnanamaya, the modifications of five powers of perception and intellect, and the Anandamaya or the temporary and conditional happiness, a temporary reflection of absolute bliss of the individual. You may know from the Shastras that he who has 4 arms and who has the Shankha or the conch, Chakra or the discus, Gada that is mace, and the Padma or the lotus, in each of them is Lord Vishnu. You may even be picturing him as such in dhyana. But yet, unless you have actually seen him by your own vision, the knowledge gained by the study of iconography can be termed only as indirect perception, and it cannot be direct perception. Since the form of Vishnu is considered different and outside, when understood through the study of the Shastras, what you get is really indirect inference, not direct experience. Though a person is ignorant of the fact that the Brahman is his own self, that is not different or outside, can he not realize himself as Brahman as soon as he hears the exposition of a Mahavakya like Tattvam Asi, that is, thou art that, which reveals that basic truth? But he does not. He cannot declare so when he has the apprehension, that is conception or understanding, that it cannot be indirectly known through the Shastras which discuss those that are different from his own self like heaven, etc. For the same Shastras have said that you are the Brahman itself, that you are fundamentally Brahman and nothing else, by means of Mahavakyas or great announcements. And they also warn you that Aproksha Jnanam is not got by the mere hearing of these Mahavakyas. The progress of the spiritual aspirant is of this nature. He reasons out with Shraddha, that is faith and care, what he heard until he understands the characteristics of the Atma in an indirect way. Then, to bring that knowledge into the field of actual experience, he takes up the process of manana, that is, ruminating on it in manas or the mind. The Atma is present everywhere and is in everything. It is unaffected. It is omnipresent like Akasha or Ether. It is even beyond the Akasha. It is the Chitta Akasha, the space in the intellect in which consciousness shines or manifests as I sense. It is described in the Shrutis as Asanago Hayam Purushaha. This Purusha is unattached, isn't it? Because of the fact that the Atma is unaffected and untouched by anything and is beyond everything and indifferent, you should not doubt that it is Parichina, or the restricted or limited. It is beyond the three limitations of space, time, and causation. It is all pervading, so you cannot state that the Atma is limited only in one place and not in another. It is not limited by space. You cannot state that it exists at one time and does not exist at another time. It is not limited by time. Atma is everything. There is nothing which is not Atma. Atma is all. So, it has no limitation of Vastu or object. Atma is Purnam, or all-pervading. Knowing this is the absolute Jnana, and that is the absolute Satya. A doubt may be raised here. If the Atma is pervasive like the Akasha, does it also undergo a transformation? A Vikara, a change, like Akasha and the other elements? No. Existing, emanating, growing, changing, declining, dying, these are the 6 transformations or Sadbhava Vikaras that occur for Akasha and the other elements. But the Atma is the universal, eternal witness cognizing Akasha and the other elements, and hence it has no modification at all. It is Nirvikara. When it is said that the Atma is Nirvikara, how can it be said that there is nothing besides Atma? For this reason, that the Atma is the cause of all this, and there can be no distinction between the cause and the effect. The cause cannot be without the effect, and the effect cannot be without the cause. Some might be suffering under the doubt, how can the Atma be the universal cause? The Atma is the universal cause because it is the universal seer. That is, Atma is all-knower. It is very well known that the seer is the cause of all the delusion of this world. The seer who superimposes silver in the Shukti or the mother of pearl, and the dreamer who dreams the varied scenes of the dream world are the Upadana Karana, or the material causes. Similarly, the seer or the knower, the Atma, is the Upadana Karana of all the projections or delusions of this world. Is it not? Therefore, when the entire universe is nothing but an illusion, then Atma is the Karana, or the cause of it. Now, a doubt may arise. How can this whole universe be an illusion? It is as follows. Just like the superimposition of the snake on the rope, Raju Sarpa illustration, on account of the play of Maya, that is ignorance or avidya, the names and forms are superimposed on the non-dual Atma at the time of Pralayam, that is complete cessation or dissolution. That is what the Shruti too declared, isn't it? The Atma is always content and blissful. To you, one thing appears more attractive than another, and so the sensual attachment and affection are the results of delusion, and it is not your true nature. It is like a dog that gnaws a bone, and then when blood oozes out of its tongue and gets mixed with the bone, it relishes the bone the more for that additional taste. When it gets another bone, it drops the first one and runs after the second. What the Atma does is to superimpose upon the external, evanescent object its inherent love, and thus envelop that object with a certain attractiveness. Objects are taken to be pleasure giving, but they are not really so. They only add to the grief. Since this affection born out of delusion is ever changing, that love for the objects can only be Satishaya, better, but not Niratisaya, that is the best, supreme, or unparalleled. However, the love for the Atma or the Self will not undergo any such modifications. Even when the senses and the body fall, the Atma will remain and infuse bliss. So, it is the supreme love. Everyone has love towards the Self or Atma. It is of the nature of Param Anandam or the supreme bliss. For this reason, it is described as of the nature of Sat, Chit, and Ananda, that is existence, consciousness, and bliss. Are these three, Sat, Chit, Ananda, the characteristics or qualities or the attributes of the Atma, or are they its essence, its nature? A doubt of this type may arise. Redness, heat, and splendor are the nature of fire, not its attributes. Atma too, in the same manner, has Sat, Chit, and Ananda as its very nature and not its attributes. Agni is one, though its nature is redness, heat, and splendor. Similarly, Atma too is one, though its nature is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Taste, coldness, and liquidity are of the very nature of water, yet water everywhere is the same, not diverse. Atma is one. It subsumes all, and thus it is all-knowing and all-pervading. It may be asked, how come the innermost self, the Pratyagatma, which is the witness of the five koshas, that is the Annamaya, the Pranamaya, the Manomaya, the Vijnanamaya, and the Anandamaya of the individual, is all-knowing, since it is the one and only Atma that subsumes or pervades all beings and all objects, but not anything besides Atma. It is Atma can know everything. Everything else other than Atma is inert, and hence they do not know. Can the pot, which is Jada or inert, know the Akasha or space inside it? Though it does not know, the Akasha is there all the same. Similarly, that which is Anatma or Jada does not know that Atma is inside it, though it does not know Atma is there in it. Atma knows all the Jada, inert objects including the mind, in the presence of the senses of perception. Within one's awareness of the Atma, not only the objects like the house, the field, the village, the country, etc., which can be known directly through the senses, are being known, but even the unseen items like Meru, heaven, etc., which are unknown directly, are also being known within one's awareness. One should know that though the multiplicity of body, country, etc. is non-existent, just like Vandhyaputra or the son of a barren woman, they appear so because they are projected by the vasanas or tendencies of the mind and are being known within one's awareness. Similarly, even the asat or the non-existent items such as Meru, heaven, etc., which are unknown directly, are projected by the vasanas or tendencies of the mind and are being known that they are unknown, is also happening within one's awareness. In the dream, though one experiences a multiplicity, one knows that they are unreal creation of one's own mind. This is clear to the witness of the dream that it is a dreamer's world in one's own awareness. Similarly, the experience of the waking state also is nothing but the projections of the mind in two ways, direct and indirect. Otherwise, how can people in the world say they do not know anything about Meru, heaven, etc.? That is, the knowledge of not knowing is also happening within one's awareness. Therefore, a jnani or the true seeker of self-knowledge should have a unique characteristic of investigating into the yathartha or the absolute truth or reality. Jai Sai Ram.
सा ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ सा ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ सा ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ